Well. The numbers are out for the Arizona Cardinals front seven. Brack, they are not good.
They're not. These numbers stink, Johnny Venerable. And do we get any answers on some of the major issues this team is facing at 1-3 going up against the Niners? We talked to the top coordinators, what they said. Tell you about it right now. PHNX Cardinals.
Hey, welcome in live from Studio K, presented by our friends at Circle K. It's the PHNX Cardinals podcast, your premier Arizona Cardinal podcast. Like and subscribe. Leave us a 5-star wherever you get your programming. This fine show today, like every day, brought to you by our friends at Bet365. Never ordinary. Download the Bet365 app today. Use the bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. Choose your offer. Find out why. It's never, not even for a minute, ordinary. With Bet365, Arizona Cardinals open up 7.5-point dog at San Francisco. How about this dirty dog? Brack in Studio K. Damon, Dawg, producer extraordinaire behind the mic. I am Johnny Venerable. Welcome, friend.
That's absolutely right. Welcome, friends. Always great to talk some ball with all of our closest buddies, compadres here in the Valley Shaft. Monti Ossenfort's burner, Didi, Jess, Danny. How about Victor Flores, Andy Nguyen? How about our friends Rochelle and Cody? Schleimenschlag's here. I mean, the whole crew. And especially when you cap it with Schleimenschlag, you know it's going to be a good one.
Everybody drop a like on this video. Subscribe to PHNX Sports here on YouTube. And, of course, everybody bust out your mobile phone. Subscribe to PHNX Cardinals wherever you get your podcast. The sobering week continues for our precious Redbirds. We heard from Jonathan Gannon yesterday as it relates to where this team is at from a overall psyche standpoint, Brack. And now you got to hear from both coordinators, offense and defense, of course, Drew Petzing that we're going to get to, and Nick Rallis on this defense. And I want to start there because there were some figures that came out via ESPN. I want to read them to you because they are very damning to this franchise. And again, I'm not one to gloat and toot my own horn, but toot McGee, here we go. The Arizona Cardinals, now we have a quarter of the season through the year, right? Real tangible evidence. They are 27th tied red zone efficiency, completion against last, pass rush win rate second to last, rush TD against tied for last, and the number one damning factor on here, the run defense win rate percentage last. I mean, this is outside of a overflow of points that you jumped on LA with. I'm surprised this isn't worse, frankly. You look at these numbers, Bo. What do you take from it?
Needs to improve. And how are you going to do it with your current personnel? I mean, that's what makes it, the biggest struggle and why you'll probably continue to ride that bus the rest of the season, week in and week out. Can you figure out ways to put yourself in a position to get off the football field? Now, there's a couple times, Nick Rallis, was saying, hey, how can you get better on third down? You got to get off the field and find ways to do that. Can you, the personnel, when you get Darius Robinson, 27th overall pick, back in the line, when you get Carice Tunga back on the defensive line, when you get back from a 5 to 6 man defensive line rotation, can that give you and maybe have more of a cohesive group and hopefully stay healthy from then on, which is never promised in the NFL? Can you start to create the pressure necessary to slow down the opposing run game? Because I think that's where it really just kind of the bulk of the blame or the reason for the struggles is because they can't stop the opposing run game. I mean, you'll see it first and second down. Brian Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, guys were just getting huge chunk yards and putting their teams in second and third and manageable, and then being able to go from there, hit on easy passes and just move the chains.
I love this question from Michael Evans. Bo, can you improve the defense? by default without better players? And typically I would say yes, right? Like we watched this defense under JG and Rallis go into Pittsburgh and shut down the Steelers, right? And we watched them be competitive at times last year. But again, I would caution everybody, that was against what? Kenny Pickett and was it Mason Rudolph? I can't even remember. Was it Mitch Trubisky in the second half? I mean, their best defensive outing came against now backup QBs. And while some teams, a la the Seahawks and others, are having their defensive numbers inflated by quarterbacks that are not very good, the Cardinals have faced a gauntlet of now we've seen good QBs. Stafford, Josh Allen, Jaden Daniels now has entered the equation, very efficient. And then, of course, last week against Jared Goff, who, look, last night didn't have an incompletion against Seattle. I think as much as I dog on this front seven for a variety of reasons, and I want to focus there because the defensive back play, I think, has been okay. I do think that the truth is probably somewhere in between what they did against the Rams and what they did against the Commanders, right? I think you're more or less often to give up anywhere between 25 to 27 points instead of holding an opposing team to 10 points or giving up 40 plus. But it really just depends on the emphasis, and we're going to talk about this later, that you put on this offense to go and have sustained drives. We talked about it all offseason, that this could not be. It's so coincidental that we're still here doing this. A Cliff Kingsbury-esque offense where it's 3 and out, short time of possession, and you're not allowing that defense to collect themselves. And we saw that in the worst possible light against Washington, where Drew Petzing, Kyler Murray, and company did not have their act together. And that defense is like, hang on a second. You look at what we're sporting, guys. We're not built to sustain all of these possessions, right? And I think it was a little bit fool's gold in the second half against Detroit because they kept answering the bell. So, I mean, like, I see those numbers. They do not surprise me at all.
I mean, this last performance was the worst. And then you had two performances where I think, you had probably your best defensive efforts in a while against Detroit, especially in the second half. And then, of course, slowing down the Rams where they just had 7 and 3 points in, the first and second half respectively. So, the overall numbers stink. Has there been, just like the offense, they've had their moments, but both sides of the football haven't been good enough and haven't really been on the same page outside of week 2 to where it's resulted in complimentary football and winning football. I mean, that's the thing. Like when you watch it and you saw the opening drive against Detroit and you saw the entire game against Washington, it wasn't where it needs to be or where it can be. Yeah. To really expect. But at the same time, like there were opportunities, like you said, for the offense to pull its weight and then continue to show it's the strength of this team. But it has. The last 2 weeks, I mean, 13 and 14 points. That's just not getting it done. That's not going to get it done really against anybody on any given Sunday. I mean, the offensive numbers are down, but still, like, you're not going to win games by scoring as little as they have the last 2 weeks. So
do you think the offense is a bigger disappointment than the defense through 4 weeks?
Yeah, I think so. And wow. I think that the offense, but nuts. Don't you think, well, here's how, like, let me, I guess, explain.
Okay.
You can look at the offense's numbers and you can say, hey, these look pretty good. Your top wide receiver is, he's had, 100-yard gain. He's all over 200 yards receiving on the season, and he's got 4 touchdowns. And your quarterback's got 5 touchdowns and just 1 interception. He's been dynamite. They've opened each and every game with a touchdown scoring drive. And you're like, hey, the offense, it's statistically not bad. Like Kyler's completion percentage is there, but the offense seems to just disappear after the first quarter. Like they've been so good in the first quarter offensively that it kind of supplements the numbers, where the defense doesn't have that advantage. And the defense was not supposed to be the strength of this team. The offense was. What were we talking about? This embarrassment of riches that Kyler Murray's, was going into the season with budding playmakers from Marvin Harrison Jr., who's played his part at least in the first quarters.
Yes, he's been as advertised.
Michael Wilson and Greg Dortch and Trey McBride, who's played 3 of the 4 games, and James Conner in the run game. But it still hasn't translated to putting up points. I mean, Drew Petzing said it himself. You have to score more points. That's the name of the game. Like, they just have to figure out ways to put more points on the scoreboard. after back-to-back weeks where your strength hasn't been your strength.
No, I understand that. And I'm probably coming off as a broken record where like I put fault on Petzing and JG and Kyler Murray for not producing more points. But I do feel like one of these two things was very much avoidable. I think the offense, we can still sit here on October 1st and have some hope. Like if they come out and perform this weekend, I think we'll all be like, okay, back on track, right? Like if they put up 30 points against San Francisco, that train's right back on the tracks, right? They have, outside of Jonah Williams, they have all their pieces. Would you agree with that? Like they have a chance to get this offense corrected at any point. Whereas with this defense, as people have outlined in the chat, like, does it get worse? Like, how are we sitting here? I guess my question for you is, after what we saw last year, and I hate to keep coming back to that, but it's relevant now because it's the same people involved on and off the field. The coaches, the executives, they all saw the product on the field last year defensively, and they were the worst run defending team in the NFL, and they went 7+ games without a true sack. And they made their decisions this offseason, fair or not. I mean, I think you and I can both classify those decisions right now as a failure through 4 games. You don't put up these kind of numbers defensively and not say either that we made mistakes and or we wish we could do things differently. Would you agree with that? Because there's no way you could watch the 2023 Arizona Cardinals and then come into this year and somebody, Damon, let's see that graphic one more time and see this graphic and think anything other than we screwed up.
Yeah, but you get lost in the numbers here, and it's like the defense played well enough against Detroit to win. They played really well against the Rams and held them to 10 points. I mean, they did their job in that game. Like it's there's 2 games right there of the 4. So this is a little like if you look at these numbers, you'd say, hey, this team is 0-4, right? They're 1-3, not much better, but the defense in a loss, played their role and shut out the Lions that were putting up. How many points did they put up on the Seahawks last night?
Yeah, but that was their first game where they really exploded offensively. They were not competitive offensively against Tampa or the LA Rams. They scored under 30 points in both those games.
Okay.
So I'm with you.
Okay. Sure.
Well, here's what we got. We got what I think was an outlier game against the Rams because of where the Cardinals were offensively. And that's the formula, right? Hey, Kyler and the offense, go score and get a big lead, and the defense will hold on for dear life. And the Rams didn't have any weapons to speak of. But what we saw against Buffalo, I know it's Buffalo. They jumped out to a 17-3 lead. The defense couldn't hang on. And then against Detroit, say what you want to about that game. I know the Lions were shut out.
What happened but let's keep this in perspective. Let's actually put all the details and the facts here on the table. I mean, when the defense the offense played a role in that.
For sure.
Kyler Murray fumbling.
I'm not giving the offense a pass.
The defense with his back against the wall, immediately in the third quarter. Did that not play a role in the defense?
No doubt.
Let's look at this entire thing and realize that the offense that was when I would ask you before we went into this season, and if I asked the chat, what was the strength of this team going to be going into the 2024 season? What were we excited about? And what has underperformed more the last 2 weeks, in your opinion?
I don't know, man. I thought the defense had a
what
chance.
Do you mean you don't know? They shut out the Lions in the second half. They held them to 20 points.
You'd let me finish here. That half, I mean, it felt very much like Washington, where the Lions made some dumb decisions, I thought, from a play calling standpoint. But when the Lions wanted to put that game away, the Lions leaned on David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs in the fourth quarter and ran the football up and down Arizona. And again, that's not the end all be all. I'm very much for points forced and points allowed. Statistically, that's what matters most. So I get that. But I mean, the Cardinals offense, while it's not producing, it's not turning the ball over. It's had.
I mean, you can look at the turnover battle is not going to show that, but the turnover on downs, there have been crucial ones in back-to-back weeks.
But again, it goes back to my original.
You can't tell me there's no way I'm going to sit here and give them a pass for 14 points and not being able to come back on a Lions team that got shut out. They got shut out, and the Cardinals all they did was put up 3 points in the second half.
I can't believe people in the chat are saying the defense has exceeded our expectations. I can't believe that. I know it's recent history. What did you guys watch on Sunday? It was a non-competitive defensive performance. Like, again, look
But
at
Johnny,
the run.
think about it like this.
Running. Go ahead.
Washington marches down the field twice on their opening drives.
Yep.
The Cardinals are down 14-7 after the team stalled out in their second drive. And then they get the ball back. And what happens?
The Cardinals can't produce. No.
On which side?
Right.
I mean,
no one is saying.
And then, and then this is on both of them to open up to come out of the locker room. And then, like, the defense absolutely got undressed. And then for the offense to maybe even look worse, they were like negative 16 yards on that drive.
I think I go back to the idea that your head coach is a defensive savant, and we knew all these issues were present 6 months ago, and they're not improved. That's what bothers me. Because here's the deal. What's the easiest thing to say with regard to the offense if it's underperforming, like by midseason into the second half of the season? Get rid of Drew Petzing, maybe get a new quarterback at some point. But, like, you invested in that unit, and they have proven entities in that unit. I'm sorry. Like, your highest graded players are on your offense. Kyler Murray, Paris Johnson Jr., Trey McBride, Marvin Harrison Jr. Like, statistically, analytically, James Conner, that unit is going to get going at some point this year. Okay? The Arizona Cardinal defense, no one can sit here. We've got almost 500. Drop a like. If you're on Twitter, jump on over to YouTube. No one can sit here and tell me that the defense will have, at any point this year, a come to Jesus moment and get their act together. I'm sick of last year, this year, minimal improvements. What else were you thinking was going to produce? Kyler Murray could go out here and throw 4 touchdowns this weekend. It would not surprise me.
That wasn't a question, though. You said who had disappointed me up to this.
That's fine.
Point.
Yeah, I'm disappointed in your answer. How about that?
Well, that's because you are leading the charge against this defense, and I'm not sitting here to bail the defense out whatsoever. Like, what were your expectations going? Like, my expectations were not much different than yours. Like,
can I say something? I expected their run defense to not be last again. Can I say that? Am I allowed to say that?
Absolutely.
Second year in JG, Kazir White, Mac Wilson, Justin Jones is gone, but they added defensive line. Again, continuity in the scheme should count for something. They're not even close to stopping the run. It's one of the most disheartening situations. I said yesterday, it's second behind having bad quarterback play for me, watching that.
It's really tough. I mean, you were down Tonga, you were down, down Justin Jones. Hopefully you get a boost. We'll see what Tonga's situation is come tomorrow when they're back on the practice field. And we'll see if they open up the practice window for Darius Robbins, because, I'm not going to discount that. I think that if you can get D-Rob in a rotation on that defensive line, it's going to do wonders for being able to slow down the opposing rushing attack. I mean, when you look at, they had a really tough time in week 1 against James Cook and that Bills rushing attack. Yeah. And then were great against the Rams. I mean, completely took away that part of their offense. I mean, midway through the third quarter, Kyron Williams had 17 yards. That was their rushing attack.
Because
and then after that, the wheels fell off. 400 yards. I can't.
Because the offense forced the Rams to become one-dimensional. We sit here. It was my next exact point. I'm so glad you brought that up. We sit here and ask, why can't the Cardinals win one-possession games? We can't, because their defense cannot stop the run in the second half. And you lose possessions and you lose time of possessions, and they can't get stops because of it. Because teams can say, by hook or by crook, we saw it with Detroit. Certainly we saw it with Washington. Like, you think you're going to get another possession? We are going to lean on you and break your will.
But they did it against Detroit. I mean, if we're just going off of history,
Detroit finished that game on offense.
Well, I mean, after 2 opportunities from the Cardinals offense. I mean, how many do you want?
I think we can count both of the units as a negative in that game. Like, who failed the team more in week 1? We both came on the air and said the defense was.
I'm not going to count the team as a negative for pitching a shutout in the second half when their team desperately needed it.
That's fine. We can disagree on this. I just feel like I'm asking you, what's more likely to get its act together? And you cannot dispute the offense.
No doubt about it. It's the offense. I mean, who has the pieces? I mean, you need to see strides. Like, you need to continue to see Garrett Williams, Max Melton, guys make strides in the defensive secondary. You need to continue to see great play from Mac Wilson. You hope to see Kazir White gets back on track, and Darius Robinson becomes a piece on the defensive line that can be a part of the solution in slowing down opposing run games. I think putting it solely on D-Rob's shoulders would be unfair.
It is unfair
as a first-year player, and it's unrealistic. But can he make enough plays? When it's 3rd and 2 and he sheds a block and blows up an opposing running back? Like, I'm not saying every time do that, but if he can do that just enough to get him off the field, which we really haven't seen so far through 4 games, then we would open that with welcome arms.
Yeah, and I don't like to project into the future. It's not my favorite thing. But you have been just steamrolled on the ground, dating back for 21 games. And then look at the teams you're playing here in the coming weeks. The Niners are the #1 rushing team in the NFL. They have a runner who's already halfway to 1,000 yards for a season, a 3rd rounder out of Georgia Tech. It's not even McCaffrey. And then after that, you get Josh Jacobs and the Packers. And then after that, you get Jim Harbaugh, who only wants to run the football with J.K. Dobbins and company. Like, I think sitting here and expecting different results in recent weeks, like, I'm with you. Cardinals are going to have to score at least 27 to 30 points per game to have an opportunity to win. Because I just don't envision with this defense right now. And it's not only that they're last, they're trending in the wrong direction. I'm sorry. Like, what I saw on Sunday, I know they lost Justin Jones. That the Washington Commander offensive line is not good. It's not. It's an average unit. And so is Brian Robinson's an average player. And it wasn't just that they were running for big yardage. We've seen James Conner break tackles, right? No one was touching anybody. And maybe it was the scheme. Bo, you mentioned it. They only had, 5 defensive linemen instead of 6? But
yeah. Well,
I just
5.
Whatever
I mean, they brought in Angelo Blackson. I think he was a greeter at Walmart before this. Like, he came in and he played significant snaps. They need, like, Tonga, he's a true nose.
Yeah.
And I think he had a good camp, and he's played well. Obviously, you're not going to see a lot of stats from a defensive lineman, but like Tonga being out and also the loss of Justin Jones, even though that, like, I know you don't want to hear it, I know the fan base doesn't want to hear it, the injuries, and still just to be able to have a team like Washington, coordinated by who coordinates them, be more physical than you, that still makes you nauseous. It should still make you nauseous.
It makes me sick. Sick enough, Damon, that I actually need to take a break from the show and run to the restroom. Damon, can you take over for a sec, my friend? I'm sorry. This is so unprofessional of me. I've done this 2 weeks in a row. Damon, can we throw just any kind of graphic up? Would be great.
Yeah, let's full screen a graphic real quick. Oh, I just picked a one at random, I think, Bo. I don't know.
For our podcast listeners, the graphic that Damon at random picked, it's the worst with Johnny Ralphio. I don't know what this can mean. I mean, I know we did one throwaway segment where Johnny Venerable, he left for a few minutes of the show, and we were joined by what resembles a character from Parks and Rec, Jean Ralphio. But can we get this thing down?
Yeah, sorry. I think we can get it down now.
Bo Brack, what it do, nephew? Missed you at the game over the weekend, Daddy. My God, you missed a bunch of. Hey, I know the Cardinals lost this weekend. You missed the craziest of the craze. Okay, your boy Johnny Ralphio. I snuck into the casitas in the end zone. Club, girls, dancing, naked, big red mascot, argument, police fleeing the scene, hiding out in the dumpster outside the stadium, rolling by your crib later, though, Bo, because technically I'm homeless. Good to be back on the show.
You need to seek a higher power, my friend. Get help.
I'm going to tell you what I am going to do. I'm going to put on a brave face, unlike this trash Cardinal D. Uh-oh. I don't like all this negativity, man. I'm a positive guy. Why don't you turn that frizz down upside down, all right? While you're over there, everybody over there looking poor as hell. I'm looking fresh to death right here. I've got a plan, Bo Brack, showboy, if that is your name, to fix all the problems. All right, let me lay it on you. Step 1, you call up those loser Jets. Step 2, we roll over to New York. All right, Mr. B's PJ, or or my midsize sedan. Step 3, I dazzle Joe Douglas in the war room with my sweet moves. Just bounce, 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 bounce. Step 4, offer up, hear me out, a first-round pick for Hassan Reddick. Then I leave before they can answer. They call us from the plane, offer a 5th-round pick out of panic. Done deal. What do you think about that, chill boy?
I think you need to leave this show immediately. I can't stand the sight of you again, Johnny Ralphio. The film work you've done has been incredible. I mean, the where you've taken this character is unreal.
You know, no one got any work done with the Cardinals this offseason. You know that? They didn't spend any money. I did, though. You know why? Because my grandmother just died, so I am flushed with cash.
You are the lowest of the low, Johnny Ralphio. Can we get a graphic back up here and get this man out of my sight? What a scumbag. Have you ever met somebody more slimy than Johnny Ralphio?
No, the slimiest of the slime. I mean, just a grifter. Said homeless. I think he said he's living in the casitas at State Farm Stadium.
Yeah, I heard that. I heard his whole cockamamie plan to go figure out how to steal Hassan Reddick from the Jets. It's pathetic. It doesn't even make any sense.
What did I miss?
What's that? Oh, look, we can get all right. Johnny's back.
What did I miss?
I mean, you just had some lowlife come in and just start trying to figure out like trade plans for the Arizona Cardinals, how to
I bet
fix
they were
their
pretty smart.
struggling defense. Yeah.
If it's the opposite of what you've been saying, I bet it was pretty flippin' smart.
Johnny, I think I would check my windows if I were
Yeah.
you in your house, just because there seems to be somebody that just keeps like sneaking in through the window and kind of taking your spot on the podcast. I don't really get it.
That's weird. We got some Nick Rallis bites we can get to, I guess.
Sure. Yeah, from Johnny Ralphio to the Cardinals defensive coordinator. Just talking about when asked from Cardinals reporter Darren Urban about the struggling run defense, this was just his answer.
Well, I think there's things that you have to identify, no matter what opponent you're going to, which opponent you're facing, that we need to correct on our end, no matter what, right? And so, you know, that's a lot of different things. That can be scheme related, that can be technique related. You know, how we're practicing, how we got to train certain aspects better in the run game, no matter who you're playing, to fix those issues kind of internally. And then obviously there's going to be elements of, okay, this week, who are we playing? What do we have to do? What do they do well in the run game? How do we have to take that away? Who are their people? What's their scheme? So kind of twofold with that one.
So just saying, hey, we recognize we have to be better, and it's going to take basically an all hands on deck approach from the coaches to the players to just how they prepare to the scheme that they deploy. And look, it doesn't get any easier. You've got historically good rushing attack coming in, different player at the RB1 position, but still racking up yards and finding the end zone, just like Christian McCaffrey, his predecessor, as he waits, cutting edge science to figure out what's going on with his both achy Achilles. But I mean, it doesn't stop the problem or the bleeding for the Cardinals rushing defense. 400 yards the last 2 games. Like that's
5 rushing touchdowns. Yeah.
5 rushing is Damon's graphic pointed out, the most rushing touchdowns that surrendered, tied for the most in the NFL. It's just not good enough. And when teams are having that much success running the football, they have those high, red zone efficiency numbers like opposing offenses do against the Cardinals.
Well, I mean, like what the Niners, I know it was last year, but I'm going to go back to last year because the coaching staff's the same. And sadly, largely the front 7 personnel is mostly the same, minus like B. Joe Ojulari. The Niners' losses last year, specifically defensively, because the Cardinals, Dobbs put up points, Kyler Murray put up some points. The defensive showings, it was just like, it was watching high school kids play Alabama. That's what it looked like. The Cardinals, that first Niner game, the Niners, I don't think they punted the football. Didn't Christian McCaffrey have like 6 touchdowns one game or something? I mean, it was a bludgeoning against the Arizona Cardinals last year.
They luckily, were able to put together some drives offensively. The Cardinals, that was their best defense, was just their offense keeping San Francisco on the sidelines. It was rough. I mean, it was the coming out party for Michael Wilson. You hope to see something similar, but like we know this. Like the offense has to play over its head a little bit in order to be competitive with some of these teams that you're fighting above your weight class.
I'm disappointed that the Cardinals, after watching that last year and knowing what the division wants to do, like you should draft and develop for your division. You should add pieces for your division. Is that too much to ask? Kenneth Walker is in your division. Christian McCaffrey in the Niners run game. We know the Rams always want to run the football. And to the Cardinals' credit, they stopped the run one game. But I feel like if you're playing in the NFC South, maybe you can play it differently. But the Cardinals, you saw it on display last year. And now you're walking into this game with zero momentum defensively. And we're all just going to sit and watch this on Sunday. Craig Morgan, PHNX Cardinals beat reporter, is going to be there. And it's just going to be like, does anybody not expect Jordan? I don't want to be negative here, but does anybody not expect Jordan Mason to just flip and run wild? And the Cardinals are going to have to get lucky with turnovers. And to your point, the offense is going to have to be humming like that. Nick Rallis knows defense, but it's not, at some point, you just got to have a defeatist attitude. Like, we're doing the same thing week after week and getting the same results, man. We got the same players as last year.
Well, no, I mean, if they get, Darius Robinson back, that helps. If they get Curious Tunga, that helps a little bit. I mean, it does matter.
I think you've got a little bit more faith.
We knew what it was last year. I mean, it was one of the worst position groups in the last half decade. There just wasn't NFL caliber guys, especially at the end of the season, that you needed in order to make us, stop on first or second down or even third down. So, yeah, I mean, it's terrifying to think about what they can get going. No, it is. But you add a guy to that rotation, or you have a rotation up to where they like it, 6 players, that helps. That puts you in the right direction. And then just guys making plays. Now, when you say they're not drafting, for their division, like, what direction do you go? I mean, because you're not utilizing your 6th overall pick in 2023 on anything but your franchise tackle. That's panned out. You're not using anything, outside of, taking Marv 4th overall. And then they take a defensive lineman 27th overall.
Well, I mean, like, I have the benefit of hindsight, but I sat there on day 2 of the draft and I'm like, the Cardinals, based off of need and pure value, should have taken Jerzon Newton instead of trading down for a corner. And I love Max Melton. He's going to be a good player. But like the need was so great and apparent.
I'm sorry. Did Johnny Newton, I didn't notice him out there. Did he have a good game? Does anybody know?
He's playing.
I know he's playing.
I don't want to. I mean, the Cardinals couldn't run the football all that well until late in that game. I have no idea if he's produced.
What are you talking about? Amari Dermacano had a couple big explosive runs at the end of that half.
I don't want to do this like I'm talking about investments.
They weren't ready for it either.
You're the worst today.
Totally off guard, though.
I don't know. He's a little smart mouth. If you can get Jordan Mason anytime touchdown, and it's not -500 at Bet365, I would recommend maybe you look into that. We're going to hear from Drew Petzing here in a second. But first, let's talk about our friends at Bet365. Never ordinary, Bo Brock. It's 90 million users worldwide. Phenomenal. 780,000 events each year. NBA, NFL, NHL, Major League Baseball, and more. They have pioneered live in-game betting. And I'm going to tell you right now, First Bet Safety Net up to $1,000 is the play for your boy when you sign up and deposit at least $10. Bonus code PHNX365 when you sign up. They also have, how about this? You deposit $10, use the bonus code PHNX365. You throw a 5 spot on anything, Major League Baseball, NHL right around the corner, NBA, NFL. You're going to get $200 in bonus bets. No questions asked, right? You like free money? I do. I also like our friends at Bet365. And all you have to do is download the app today, choose your offer, find out why it's never ordinary. You got to be 21 years and older, physically located in Arizona. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem, wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP. Text NEXT STEP to 53342 or visit problemgambling.az.gov, Bo, for more information.
We're making our triumphant return, the first time since week 1, the Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Won't you join us at Wild Horse Pass this Sunday to watch the Redbirds take on the San Francisco 49ers? That's where our away game watch party is each and every Sunday that they're playing on the road. Come check us out and check out one of the 4 locations, Wild Horse Pass, Lone Butte, Vequeva, Santan Mountain. Experience the best that the Valley has to offer. What's your game? Is it hitting the table, playing a little blackjack, maybe a little roulette, maybe, I don't know, What do you like, Johnny? What's one of your favorite games at the casino?
I'm a blackjack guy.
You do?
I love the $5 tables, the $10 tables. I just want to play and have a good time. I'm not there to, break the bank.
You want to split your cards.
Yeah.
You want to double down. You
Have a
want to
couple
just
drinks
live.
with the fellas.
That's right.
Have a good time, and you can do that at Gila River.
Celebrate the small wins, celebrate the big wins. That's what it's all about. Gila River Resorts and Casinos will be hosting the events there all year long, including Cards and Sons watch parties and more. Stay tuned for more info on how you can come hang with us. You do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playgila.com for more details.
Public enemy number one for the Arizona Cardinals, is it Drew Petzing, the offensive coordinator, who has a chest full, treasure trove of toys, including Kyler Murray, MHJ, Michael Wilson, Trey McBride, and more. And subsequently, the last 2 weeks, the Arizona Cardinals, they've averaged 13.5 points per game against Detroit and Washington. Again, not to beat a dead horse here, I'm on team defenses underperforming more so. Bo is on team offense needs to be better. And I think we would both agree that neither side is ideal right now. And I thought Drew Petzing, in the comments that he shared today, and we've got a few of them, Bo, it was pretty telling because obviously he wants the team to be better and produce more points. He understands that. But I also thought, like, highlighting what they're doing well, it goes back to what we said on the postgame show. Like, I love Drew. We've met Drew. He's a nice guy. That's not going to fly with Cardinal fans. You can't come out here after 2 back-to-back no-show performances, basically, and talk about how you ran the ball well in the second half. Like, no one wants to hear about Kyler Murray's completion percentage. Bro, are you scoring points and winning games? That's what people care about.
Right. It as we said, they were empty calorie statistics that didn't really impact the game, like completion percentage, yards per carry. James Conner probably doesn't care that he went over the 100-yard mark. But then you start to look at, he mentioned good statistics, but where did things go wrong, and starting to kind of venture into that. I think that was the important piece.
Yeah.
And like we keep seeing this Cardinals offense, this is a positive. March down the field, the opening drive of the game, score, and it seems like that offense, for the most part, goes stagnant the rest of the way. Like I pulled some numbers as far as Kyler Murray in the first quarter, and his numbers in the first quarter are unbelievable. I mean, he's 25 for 29, 305 yards with 5 touchdown passes in the first quarter. Now, from the second quarter to the fourth quarter, Kyler Murray's just 50 for 79, just over 63% passing for 472 yards. So just 172 more yards in the next 4 games. I mean, in 4 games for the next 3 quarters, just 1 touchdown and a pick. He's still running the ball effectively, in quarters 2 through 4 as he is in the first quarter. So pretty interesting to see that fall off. And Drew Petzing realizing that. I think we need to figure out what's going on with Drew Petzing beyond his script. Can he figure out the game flow? Can he, play that game of chess with the opposing defense? And so far, I mean, you're just not seeing consistent enough. And like you see, like the big statistics there for Kyler Murray in the first quarter. Same thing is said for Marvin Harrison Jr. And we talked to the Cardinals OC about how does he feel like the Cardinals can get Damon for Drew Petzing, talking about Marvin Harrison Jr. He saw some positives. He'll break that down and how, the kind of risk reward of kind of force feeding him the ball.
I do. I think he seemed really comfortable in the offense. I thought he was coming off the ball. I know that's something JG hit on. I think you saw him thinking less and less, which is always what you look for in young players, is kind of throughout those first couple games, are they reacting or are they thinking? And I think you saw that from him, which was good to see. That's a balance you have to strike. And it's not always easy because they also know who your best players are in critical moments, and they want their best players there or their best coverage there. So it's a fine line between making sure that you're designing things and giving him the opportunity, or maybe throwing him the ball or getting him open on the route. But it's also saying, all right, are they giving us that opportunity? Do we have that open? Or are we forcing the ball into a look where it's not going to be clean? He's not have a high chance of success. I think that's a very fine line that's really important to walk.
So like here's one thing, like, and this is complete coming from the fan side, not being in it, not knowing ball as well as these coordinators, these coaches, these players.
I know ball though.
You do. I think that there needs to be I think that Drew Petzing plays it very safe. I wish he was maybe a little bit more willing to risk it and force the issue with things. I think he would benefit from it. I'm not saying like all the time, but I think when you've got a playmaker the caliber of Marvin Harrison Jr., it would do you and your offense very well even if the opposing defense is scheming him up to maybe continue to force or find ways to get him the ball in his hands.
I just think also like the Marvin stuff is, I don't think it's concerning because he's getting targets, but the creativity with his targets, I think, could be better. Here's what bothers me. Like, you splurged on a blocking tight end and you couldn't run the football on Sunday. You didn't have Trey McBride. And to your point, Bo, you outlined that all week that you thought it would impact their blocking. But I'm sorry, is DJ Humphries last year like the magic elixir to how you were like a top 5 running team in the NFL? Or is it just because that, you have expectations now throwing the football, you can't balance the two? I also feel like what happened to the creativity and the misdirection and the end arounds used to run with like Greg Dortch, and he used to have a package out of the backfield. Rondale Moore had a package.
They used to have the tush push.
Marvin Harrison Jr. at Ohio State, and I know they've seen this, would do end arounds for like touchdowns. He had one against Michigan in the Big Ten championship game. To my knowledge, they haven't ran one end around this year. It doesn't feel like it. That was a staple of what they did last year. That kept the defense on their toes. It is so predictable. It's like James Conner up the middle, dive left, dive right, counter. And sometimes it works because James Conner's a stud, but the creativity is not there. You're right. Like what happened to my offensive coordinator that did the special teams play at the end of the year where Kyler Murray threw that touchdown to Trey McBride in the end zone against Seattle? Where are those plays? Did Drew take the offseason off? They added all these toys, and he's like, we're good. This will take care of itself. And it's coaching on offense and it's personnel on defense. That's how I feel.
Yeah. You watch, we've seen now Lions games 2 weeks in a row. They got the hook and ladder against the Cardinals for a beautiful score. And then last night you got Amon-Ra St. Brown throwing Jared Goff a touchdown pass. Like Ben Johnson, like you want to be able to watch fun ball like that, right? And you would think when things get stagnant, and I know you put yourself in a position to look really foolish because when plays like that don't work out, it's an even bigger disaster than just going 3 and out and your quarterback throwing the football and not another player. If Greg Dortch runs an end around and gets stuffed, or there's a TFL, people are saying, well, that's a boneheaded play. But no, I think that's a certain thing that could be a spark for this offense. And I think why not throw one in your script or one in your game plan for this upcoming Sunday? And I know that it's against a tough defense in San Francisco.
People aren't going to like this, but I don't care. Like Kyler Murray, while he has not played great, is not the problem. And you look at the advanced metrics, which count for something. He is anywhere between right now the 6th best quarterback in the NFL and like the 12th best quarterback in the NFL. So like what's the missing component? Yes, they need to sustain more drives, but you're not getting Will Levis play. You're not getting Skylar Thompson play at quarterback. That's not why you're losing. More often than not, you're getting top 10 to 12 play these first 4 weeks, sometimes better. He's not turning the ball over at will. He's not fumbling the football. He's not throwing interceptions. Could he be better? Has he been a little bit milk toast in the second half? And you're like, oh, Kyler, come on, let's get it going. Absolutely. But I also question, Kyler Murray had 3 yards rushing on Sunday. We know the statistics where when Kyler Murray doesn't rush for more than an X amount of yards, it's like asking Lamar Jackson not to run the football. So or Jaden Daniels now. I think that everybody is at fault here. Petzing probably the most. And he has the biggest microscope because everybody, as we mentioned in the first segment, is expecting the Cardinals to suck it up on Sunday defensively. Everybody. So if they overperform like they did against Detroit at times and then against LA, we're all like, oh my goodness, look how great they look. Right. If the offense looks bad for a 3rd consecutive game, I mean, I don't, what kind of answers do you have at that point other than, is this not working with this guy?
Well, you're going to get infuriating answers, ones that aren't sufficient for the fan base that's going to be frustrated for a 3rd straight week and want to see change, right? They want to see different results. You talked about Kyler Murray and the lack of him running the football. Would you say one carry, 3 yards against Washington?
And that wasn't on a design run. That
was a scramble. Yeah. Petzing talked about Kyler running the football.
I think a lot of it's defensive look. They know he's dynamic with the ball in his hand. A lot of your quarterback runs are read runs or decisions to be made post snap. And if they're going to, dictate, it's also one of the reasons James is having a lot of success, because they're attributing a lot of their defense to what Kyler's doing. I think it's some of it you can scheme it up where he's run the ball. Other times it's extending plays. Like some of those runs throughout his career have been off schedule passes that he breaks the line of scrimmage. It's not like those are called runs all the time, and he's very dynamic in that area. Sometimes teams do some good things to take that away. Sometimes we have, issues in other areas that lead to him not being able to take advantage of that. So I think it's a combination of all of those things, but certainly, we feel confident with him with the ball in his hand in both phases, and gives us a good chance to put up points.
Yeah. It's like the Marv thing, right? It's just like, hey, if you see a look a certain way, Kyler Murray can make a play. Just you feel confident with putting the ball in his hands, put the ball in his hands. I would love to see him put the push back in there. I know it puts Clayton Tune back on the playing field, but all you got to do is take the snap and fall forward. Like, we like Yelda Froholt as a center to run that play. Why not? I mean, it's just such a simple layup play.
I appreciate what Drew's trying to say. Oh, it opened up. Kyler not running opened up holes for James Conner. James Conner had nowhere to run until the end of the third quarter. Can we stop this? It's not like we watched him the first half. Cardinals could not establish the run. And then you look at what happened against Tampa with Washington and Baker Mayfield. Oh, Baker Mayfield averaged 7 yards a carry, Drew. What happened against the Giants, against the Commanders? Daniel Jones, 6.4 yards per clip, over 30 yards rushing, had his best passing game that day too. The Washington Commanders were the perfect opponent to unleash Kyler with both his arm and his legs. You blew it, man. You dropped the ball, and your game plan stunk. You stunk it up. No, I don't want to hear these excuses about, well, this meant this, and we had to shift. No, as my co-host said, you got too cute and conservative, and it cost you. And then when the wheels fell off defensively, you're running Amari DiMercato down 3.5 touchdowns. What are we doing, Drew? Not good enough. Be better.
Ozzy221 saying, HTL, hit that like. Let's get the 300 like. Let's go. Lighten the likes. We appreciate, though, everybody tuning in. Over 725 people watching. If you're just watching on YouTube, thank you for joining the conversation. If you haven't, if you're on Twitter, if you're on X, jump in here.
Yes.
Water's fine, man. We're having a good time. You'll feel a lot more comfortable. Get in the chat, get in the rhythm, see what we're all about here. So you guys are crushing in the chat. We're going to get to all your great super chats here in just a minute, but not a whole lot. Like when I was posting those clips today from the facility from Petzing, I mean, there was a lot of engagement on those videos. People are not happy.
All positive? Mostly positive.
Yeah. Like, oh, thank you. I was looking for that answer as far as Kyler only running one time. Or
really insightful stuff, Drew.
You're telling that the defensive look plays a role into it. I mean, sometimes you just have to have your player be better than the opponent's player.
I did not like the comments about, well, James had a really good day running the football. That's trying to tell people, look at the box score instead of look at the game with your eyes. This is not 1985 where we're reading about the game in the newspaper the next day. Everybody watched that game. The Cardinals had no room to run. The Cardinals were running the football down, 24 points? Because the Commanders were like, that's fine. Do whatever you want on the ground. Can't throw the ball on us with dirt McGirt corners. We're going to get to your super chats here. Does anybody know, however, what it will cost you to get in the State Farm Stadium, Cardinals Chargers, for their next home game in 3 weeks?
So kind of a faux Monday night game, right?
Not real life.
It does fall on a Monday, and it is played at night. It's not a Sunday game.
Yep.
But you got a Chargers fan base that's not exactly fanatical, right? I bet you can get into Monday Night Football for $27. Wow. $23.
You got it. $23, but it's got to be with our friends at Game Time, friends. And if you're new to Game Time, welcome. What have you been waiting for? It's the premier ticketing app. We're going to save you $20 right now. You want to go to the Cardinals game, $20 off. You're going to be paying $3 for a ticket into State Farm Stadium and watch pro football. How about it? Use the bonus code PHNX. And again, they got plenty of stuff on there. I just highlighted the Cardinal game. They got Arizona State women's volleyball, $17. They've got Rising tickets, $9. ASU, who they playing? I don't know, $32. Monts, who they playing, Damon?
Kansas?
Yes, Kansas. Monster Jam coming to State Farm Stadium. $29. ASU hockey, hot ticket, $55. But nothing that Game Time can't hook you up with. Plus, they've got flash deals all the way up until the third quarter of games. It's the premier ticketing app for sporting events, parking passes, concerts, festivals, carnivals, whatever you want to do. Do it with our friends at Game Time. Download the Game Time app today. Create an account. Use the bonus code PHNX for $20 off. Terms and conditions apply. Again, PHNX for $20 off. Download Game Time today, Bo. What time is it? Game time.
It's game time, baby. I love it. Hopefully Jalen Daniels doesn't look like Jaden Daniels against the Cardinals for KU going against the Sun Devils. Sanderson Ford, our official vehicle partner of PHNX Sports. And man, are we proud to partner up with them. They're giving you the big payoffs like 0% financing on a 2024 F-150, the Escape, the Edge, the Explorer, the Expeditions. And the great thing about Sanderson Ford is if you feel like you're in the market for a car, you're not officially, you're just kind of dipping your toe in, just seeing, what's the temperature of these waters. They're not going to say, how can I get you in this car right now? Give me all your monies. They're not going to do that. They are no hassle, no pressure, no nonsense sales approach. And they're going to say, oh, you want to come down and just check out some of our beautiful vehicles? Let's just take it for a test drive. Let's talk about it. Let me be so well informed and tell you what you want to know about this vehicle, and you're not going to have to deal with the pressures of having to make a deal right there. They are the largest Ford dealership in America, 65 beautiful acres there, and you get deals on the 2024 Ford Bronco Sport, 5.9% APR for 66 months, plus $2,000. Must be financed through Ford Motor Credit, OAC. Also helps celebrate Hispanic Heritage Month with Dia de los Muertos inspired trunk or treat at Sanderson Ford. See dealership for details.
Jumping into these super chats, but before we do, drop a like on this video. The goal today, 350 plus likes. We got over 738 watching right now. And if you're on the Twitter streets, come on over to YouTube, subscribe to PHNX Sports. Let's get it going. How about our guy, Neo Man 15? Find the guy, you guys, live during the week. Love y'all. Keep up the great work. Keeping us up to date and informed on our cards. That's super nice, Neo Man 15. We appreciate the support. If at any point you got a question in the chat, drop it. We'll read it, my guy.
Absolutely. Thanks for joining us live. How about our guy? Let's see. Who is this our guy? Is it Dow?
Yeah, Dow.
Yeah, Dow jumping in. Johnny made some good points yesterday. This regime failed to execute March in back-to-back off seasons, getting Dobbs late, not signing free agents.
Fair or not. Ossenfort, I think we can. What would you give Ossenfort in the draft after 2 years? Like conservatively, like a B+, A-?
Yeah, a B.
Yeah. I mean, he's aced his first round picks. I think it's fair to say, as well as he's doing in the draft, that's how bad he's doing in free agency. And again, he might tell you to your face, Dow, he might tell me and my co-host, this is all part of the plan. I don't want to spend money. This is not how I want to rebuild. My pushback would be, are you going to be around to spend that money when it's time to spend it? You guys keep losing games. It doesn't matter if you're pinching pennies in March. Like, this is the NFL, man. Things change on a dime. On it, people get fired every day. I don't want that for Ossenfort or JG, but I think this mindset of we're going to hold back for 2 off seasons, that typically doesn't end well for people. Not in the NFL.
Zach 499, Commanders top 10 in multiple power rankings. Still a terrible roster, not playing real football. Grow up and admit you lost to a better team.
Grow up, Bo.
Yeah.
This has been my favorite thing this week. All the Commanders fans, they're very passionate. I respect their passion, and their team has obviously had a great start to the year. It's fantastic. I'm really happy for you guys. But that being said, like, where's this narrative formed that the three of us are like, the Cardinals totally gave that game to the Commanders this weekend? Like, no one's saying the Commanders didn't earn that.
Zach, did you watch our post-game show on Sunday? It was like a funeral. Cliff Kingsbury took the Cardinals' soul on Sunday. Is that what you want me to say? That's what happened.
Right. It just wants somebody to be being negative like they've been for so long about that franchise. Like, we're tipping our cap. We tipped our cap to you.
But it's not just one guy either. It's not just Zach, our friend of the program, Zach, who sends in super chats. It's every single Commanders fan comment has been, you guys better show some respect to the Commanders.
I'd be doing the same thing. Take your hey, enjoy your moment. Do it. I'm here for it.
Yeah, Spike.
Keep sending us money though. That'd be great too.
No, you guys earned it 100%. But that's the mentality of everyone on this podcast.
Is it fun to beat up this franchise that's won 8 games in 2.5 years? Like, come on, man. We're not over here like repping the Niners record. All right, and kick a dead bird while we're down.
Yeah, you feel good making fun of the little guy?
That's right.
Being a bully?
You feel good taking my parking spot? You feel good kicking me down the flight of stairs? Like, I don't want to do this with you.
What are they're again, the teams that they've beat are combined 3-9.
And the teams that have beaten the Cardinals are what? A combined 9-3.
Including that juggernaut Commanders team. Have we talked about them?
No, I don't think we've mentioned the fact that they bullied the Cardinals into oblivion on Sunday. Josh, go ahead.
$5. We appreciate it, Zach. We really do. And like Johnny said, we'd be in other chats spreading the good word about the Cardinals if they were in your seat. How about 2nd, 4th, and Budda and Zay for Adams and Crosby? Obviously, it might take more, but there has to be personnel changes. O-line is needed as well.
I can't imagine Crosby would ever be traded, much less during the season. Like, that's an off-season move. Like, the Raiders still have to sell tickets. I think they're going to trade Adams. Like, Max Crosby's like the face of their franchise. They're going to trade him. And the Cardinals, to my co-host point, like, he doesn't fit their timeline. What the Cardinals believe is their timeline, he doesn't fit it. So
you'd have to wait till Zay Jones comes off suspension. Didn't Zay Jones kind of fizzle out in Vegas already? Didn't he leave on bad terms?
I mean, if the Vegas Raiders trade Devontae Adams, like what are you signaling to your fan base? Like they're not taking on old vets.
Yeah. That's one of those conversations like with Vegas and the Cardinals too. It's like, what do they have to do before the deadline to not be sellers?
Oh, I don't think the Cardinals are selling anybody. I think
guys who are on the last years of their deal.
Nope, I don't think they will.
Okay, critical thinker, $5. Kyler is him when he scrambles, primarily in the pocket. It's a let's see, is that a flop? Just needs to be honest. We're here on the critical thinker here. So Kyler is him when he scrambles, primarily in the pocket. It's a flop. He needs to be honest with his ability, be a leader on the field with his attitude.
I mean, I think his attitude's been good. I think he's made huge strides. I think he just needs to play better. Like, playing a quarterback, just because he's not playing great doesn't mean he's a bad dude all of a sudden. Like, can we separate that? Like, I think Cardinals are rolling with K1 because they believe in him, and he rewarded them 2 weeks ago. And he's played average the last 2 weeks. But here's the deal. Justin Fields can play average and win because they have Pittsburgh's defense and Mike Tomlin. I mean, everybody's kind of showing their hands with K1. Unless Kyler Murray plays like he did 2 weeks ago, it's like things are going to be tough. That's what you're making the argument for me in a lot of ways. There are quarterbacks, fair or not, around the NFL that win every single week with the kind of production that Kyler Murray has been giving you even the last 2 weeks. Is it ideal? No. I watched a quarterback in in Indianapolis, Anthony Richardson, complete 10 out of 20 passes and multiple interceptions and won a game. Caleb Williams in week 1 won a game and they didn't score an offensive touchdown. Like, some guys have the benefit of other accessories to help them win. Kyler Murray goes out there, unfortunately, just like the Cliff Figures, is like, if I'm not balling today, we're not winning. That's it.
Let's keep it going here. Who we got? Taboo's Tidbits. Why is Petzing not using K1 as a dual threat quarterback? I mean, before this week, he was utilizing Kyler Murray as a dual threat. He's 160 yards on the ground, some change, and he's been, big on especially on those opening drives, making plays with his legs. I just don't. Last year was just a complete organizational letdown, from play calling to execution to they were beaten by Washington in every facet.
Gross. Yeah. Gagger, $2 super chat, flying down from MNF for Seattle, already depressing. Oh, because it's maybe Seattle fans. Okay. Yeah. I mean, Seahawks look pretty solid last night, even in a loss. Like, Geno Smith's playing good football.
Like 35 first downs.
I'm more impressed with Seattle in that loss than I have been for the 3 games that they've won this year. As
Yeah,
crazy as that sounds.
you're a big Seahawks guy.
I've never been a bigger one. The icon 20634 Bo Drew Petzing is a Stefanski clone. Offense is boring like the Browns without the turnovers. Bo, where are the boots and the rollouts? Where is Kyler Murray on the move? Where is that?
Yeah, you'd like to see that more, right? Getting your quarterback moving. You saw it against Washington a lot, and you didn't see it with the Cardinals at all. I mean, you're not seeing much pre-snap. You're not seeing any rollouts or anything. I'm not sure that is something that I think would be a good question for Drew Petzing with maybe another week of tape and hopefully a better performance though offensively.
Tony's saying I wouldn't say anything about the Cards if y'all wouldn't be so disrespectful. Well, respect is my middle name, Tony. So thank you for coming on this show. Respectfully, I'm so respectful of your disrespectful.
Some have said that you're the most respectful person they know.
Yeah, and I'm assuming Tony's a Washington Commanders fan. And let me just say, what a beautiful stadium the Commanders have. I would love to be able to take my young son to your stadium and sit right by where the players come out, and then subsequently have the bleachers go concave into the ground, and then have sewage dumped on us. I think that'd be fantastic. Let's plan a trip. Me, you, and Tony. We can figure that out off air. Thanks for coming. Drop a like, subscribe. Check us out. GoPHNX.com. Craig Morgan, who will be en route to San Francisco for the game this weekend, has got banger on banger on banger of articles that you can read for free if you want that sweet 10%. As well as my guy, Jesse Friedman, Valley Vibes. You go to GoPHNX.com, become a diehard, pick up a free hat and or shirt. How about this one right here? Celebratory touchdown, but you can't get this one. It's sold out. Exclusive. Maybe we'll restock it. I'm going to tell you what we do have in stock, though. It's the number 18 collection. Vroom, vroom, Maserati Marv, MHJ, and a little math. 1 plus 18 equals 6. You love to see that. Again, any of them can be yours for free by becoming a diehard. Bo Brack.
Yeah, when was the last Washington playoff victory? Do we know?
I think the 80s, I think.
It was like the first Joe Gibbs era.
I think Riggins was running the football back
Love
then.
John Riggins. Love him.
Who doesn't? Had the Hogs?
I'm the last guy that can talk about winning playoff games.
Sure.
So I'll let you guys handle that one.
15 years ago, my Lord.
Oh, yeah, they did. They won a playoff game. They didn't score an offensive point, I think, in that game. They beat somebody bad. I think they beat the Bucks 17-10 in 2005. They didn't score an offensive touchdown. Good times. Hey, I like Joe Gibbs. Commanders are good on me, man. Good luck to Cliff. Here's the thing, though. When people come on the show and they proclaim their team has arrived, bad things start to happen. Just ask our guy MP in the Chicago Bears. We haven't seen him in about 3 months. So
MP wellness check.
Yeah.
Be careful, Tony.
If anybody knows MP, check on him. I know he's just waiting. He's plotting, probably eating some humble pie.
Tony talking about Super Bowls in the chat. Tony, my guy, your franchise and our franchise, all we compete against is, unfortunately, lawsuits off the field. So let's not talk about Super Bowls within the last 25 years. Can we not do that? We're the same. You think we're different. We're the same. Welcome, friend. We had Cliff. Now you got Cliff. Come on now. Let's hang out.
Fans should be hyped. Absolutely. But the victory laps against the Cardinals, like they realize the Cardinals are 1-3, right? It's a little crazy. They've acted like this is like an age-old rivalry. Commanders, Cardinals, like who could throw out the record books when these guys get together? Like, no, man. Like, congrats on your win.
Tony's saying they got 3 Super Bowls.
He does. Damon, how old were you when the Commanders won a Super Bowl?
That was like in the 80s, right?
Yeah, you were negative
20, negative 15.
Oh my God.
Was it
Tony, how old are you,
last
my
one?
friend? I'm going to take a guess Tony wasn't alive either for those Super Bowls. I just have a gut feeling, my guy Tony, maybe he can upload his driver's license on YouTube, maybe a social security card. Like this video, subscribe to PHNX Sports. Find us wherever you get your podcast. Maybe a little Baldy action tomorrow. We can break down this game film even more. You would assume JG and company, they've burned this game film, but not Baldy. We're ready to dig through it mercifully tomorrow on the show.
That's right. Brian Baldinger, our All-City NFL analyst. But that's going to do it for us, barring any breaking news. Don't foresee any.
Why would you even say that?
I don't know. Just because we're always on the ready, my man.
Yes, that's true.
Kyler Murray, Jonathan Gannon, we'll talk to both of them tomorrow. We'll have all the clips from that. Make sure you're following at Johnny Venerable, at Damon Dawg, at Bo Brock, and at PHNX_Cardinals. Tony, we love you, man. We love you all, and you Kami fans. Enjoy the 3-1 start. We'll talk to y'all tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.